look at that juicy gold. Look at it. Hey friends, this is my Procastle Infinite Colony build that I'm currently using on my main account while I'm closing in on 20 million waves soon. But this is me doing Infinite Colony for a while. It's been a while since I did an update video about my main account's Infinite Colony build, so here we are today. That's exactly what we will be going through. You will see this accent first in here, and then I will go through the items and the skill tree, and you know the drill. I will go through the build afterwards, after watching a couple of these battles in here. You might remember my previous Infinite Colony video where I compared the early game and late game setups and showing that the build is basically the same for both setups, and this looks strikingly similar to what you saw in there. If you have seen that video, I will link it in the description. Exactly the layout looks exactly pretty much the same. The only difference is there's a couple of more towers, different towers in here right now, and some items have changed, which I will go through shortly. The towers are mainly in here for CDE lines. I will show them as well in a bit. But the main change, perhaps, that has been made into this Infinite Colony build is that now that I have more CDEs from the towers, my cooldown skill level +1 line is a strong line to have in your, well, basically every build, and in Infinite Colony as well. But it's not the only useful line. The other useful line is actually defense skill level +1 as well. So I have been slowly trying to add a couple of those into my build so that I can get like a balance between survivability and damage for my build, because making you more tankiness makes you survive longer, which makes you able to clear out more Infinite Colonies before you die to the enemy projectile damage. And that's what I've been doing. I have a couple of them in here. I will show them after this battle. Let me just do this, so the battle will end after this auto battle ends. And one of the main things I would wanna give you, if you want like a tip on your Infinite Colony build, how to make your Infinite Colony build better, is you have to figure out what is killing you in your Infinite Colony run. Like if you are dying because the ground monsters, if they storm your castle, if they reach your castle and they kill you, then that means you have too little crowd control in your build. You will need better crowd control lines, for example, for your Mechanic Ram or anyone else, Ice Wizard, for example, and so on. Or you just need to add another crowd control unit in your build. But if you are dying to the projectile damage, then there's two different reasons that might be the reason you are losing. One is that your castle level is not good enough. You are not getting enough, like you don't have enough base HP that you can survive because of that. Or B, if you have too much crowd control. Too much crowd control is the thing that can happen, because if you constantly keep the enemies right at the enemy castle and they instantly get killed by your town cannons, which you can see in here are doing most of the damage anyway, then you are not getting enough heal potentially from your Dark Elf, because she won't be able to hit the enemies and heal you from those hits, because she is your core of surviving in Infinite Colony as well. So in that case, you might want to drop a couple of crowd control items from your build and make your crowd control a little bit worse, even if that sounds a little bit counter-effective, but it can actually work, because then the enemies will get slightly, they have a little bit of room to move around, and you will get more heal because of that, because your Dark Elf will be able to hit them more consistently. So you have to find the balance between having just enough crowd controls. That's what you should aim for to try if you are constantly losing to the archer, to the ranged projectile damage. But here are the battle results of this setup, and here are the treasures that I'm using. So Cursed Knife, Power Glove, and then defensive treasures in here. Unicorn Shield, Bottomless Red Potion, and the Whip to reduce the damage from the projectiles, because those are my +1 worry in here. And then, well, let's go through the items. So first of all, here are my skill levels currently. So I have the max 25 +1 CDEs in my build. So I have, because of towers mainly giving me 8 more CDE lines, I can easily reach this 25 cap in here. And after that, I have 6 +1 defense skill level lines. So my castle defense is +135% for this setup. So I have 1 from the rune, from the orb, and then I have 5 items that have a defense skill level +1 line in my setup currently. I think I could fit a couple of more in here, so it's a work in progress slightly, but these are definitely something you can look into, especially like if you can't hit the cap because you don't have enough CDE lines, then look into using the defense lines in your Infinite Colony build. But let's go through the items. First of all, my town cannon items, who are the #1 damage dealer in here, these are the same items that I am using on my town archers in my Wave build. These are exactly the same items that I'm using for my town archers for my waving. I do have another setup in here, which I could use as well. These are more of the town cannon version with the CDE line. So this is fire damage, some attack speed in here, and double crit damage with the CDE line here. So by using these, I could instantly fit 2 more defense skill level lines in my build if I wanted to. But using the town archer items should give me a little bit more power, so I'm using them currently right now. And then I have the fire critical orb in here, because the town cannons are fire type, and they will get boosted by the fire critical orb. Then druid, the only thing I really have is +1 summon for increased defense and CDE line. I do have 1 stun chance in here, and I do have 1 knockback chance in here, but those are not really mandatory. The main things in druid are +1 summon unit and CDE line that you should be looking for. Then we come to defender. Defender doesn't need any items like lines on his own, so in here I have the first defense skill level +1 line. So I have 1 line in here, and I have the rune in here. So that's 2 levels for the defense skill already. And then I have another defense skill level +1 line on the accessory in here. And the second one I have is Hunter, because my cooldown is already so low. I don't really need cooldown items for Hunter for the haste buff. So I have another defense skill level +1 in here, and another defense skill level +1 in here. And Hunter is using also the defense skill level +1 orb. So that makes total of 6 defense skill level +1 lines. The 7th is coming from the Dark Elf item, which you will be seeing in just a moment. My Dark Bowmaster is using the same items she's using in my Wave build, because I'm using her currently in my waving. She's leveled. If she's not leveled, you can also use her as a crowd control unit. Just make sure you can have too much crowd control for that purpose. And even if you are not leveling or using Dark Bowmaster or Dark Lightning Archer in your Wave build for some reason, you should still have her in the Infinite Colony build because of the passive plus 200% attack speed for your Dark Elf. This is a massive healing boost for your Infinite Colony build, because the Dark Elf will get a massive attack speed boost just from this passive ability alone. And Dark Bowmaster and Dark Lightning Archer is the only hero that has the 200% in here. These are my priced, so beautiful those items that I'm so proud of. Double cooldown, item quality items on both items. This is I could do with just one, but having 2 doesn't hurt. So I can have my Stoss in single proc range, so his cooldown is within the 6 seconds of Pure Wizard's cooldown. Pure Wizard items are exactly the same that I use in my Wave build, and you should do that in your Infinite Colony build as well. And still looking for the DC Laku staff in there. So maybe if I can also reduce that in the future, then I can get even a better, stronger build in here. And then I have a crowd control unit, Mechanic Ram, and these items are surprisingly bad, as you would say. There's a CDE line here, there's attack speed line, 1 cooldown line. There's no crowd control lines in here. So what do I have in my accessory? I have 1 stun and 1 knockback and a CDE line. So these are really mediocre Mechanic Ram items. But again, like I said previously, like if you have too much crowd control, you're not getting enough healing potentially from your Dark Elf, and you might end up losing because of that. If I have better gear for Mechanic Ram, but if I use better gear for Mechanic Ram, then I have too much crowd control. I have to do some other changes to not die because of that. So this is what keeps me going currently, with relatively low ratios for my Dark Elf and my Castle as well. And here we have Dorothy, another crowd control. I just have stun lines and CDEs for Dorothy, so she has a lot of stun. She has more crowd control than Mechanic Ram, which is basically your main crowd control unit in Infinite Colony. Chrono has the same items exactly as in my Wave build, CDE being the most important thing in here. Chrono boosts your game speed in colonies, making you able to clear faster. If you can't clear with Chrono, then you can use someone else like Dark Assassin, for example, in here, which could potentially make you get a little bit more healing from Dark Elf or someone else, or crowd control unit, or whatever you might need. You might want to try it there. And then we have the main healer, the Dark Elf, which is on a relatively low ratio, which I'm happy about, being able to run a 10x Infinite ratio with this Dark Elf level ratio. I'm really satisfied with this one. This is basically a perfect L item for Dark Elf, and this is also a perfect kind of an E-item as well for Dark Elf, especially for Infinite Colony purposes. So here is the 7th defense skill level +1 line for this setup. 3 out of 3 lines are useful for Dark Elf in here, and the defense skill level helps a lot. It's a beautiful item. I absolutely love this item for this purpose for my Dark Elf. And the Orb of Luck to boost the crit chance, so I can get more healing. More healing is really important in here. Necromancer items are the same as in my Bay build. I'm just going to show them quickly like this. And same goes for the Dark Skeleton, who is here only to boost your Town Cannon's damage output. The same items that I have in my Wave setup currently as well. And finally, Dark Ice Wizard, who is just an extremely great crowd control hero as well. You can try double proccing Dark Ice Wizard if you can, or you can try single proccing it. Both should be great. Just, again, make sure you don't have too much crowd control, and that should be fine. Those are the heroes. And then we have Leader Zero, who slows monsters and makes them take additional damage, so that I will get more healing from Dark Elf. So this also helps you in there. And I have CDE lines in here, nothing special. He's not level, he does absolutely 0 damage, he just boosts the damage against slowed monsters, so that's the boost you can get. I could use my Sarah, for example, in here, who is leveled for my Wave build, but that would make me get less healing, that would make me actually lose the battles. And finally, the towers. All the towers are here for the cooldown skill level +1 line. So every single tower I have in here, all 4 of them, they all have a cooldown skill level +1 line on them. So this gives me a total of 8 CDE lines. They don't really do damage. The Death Worm does a slight amount of damage, basically give me a more mana as well. It's the only one that is leveled, everything else is not leveled for this setup. But they all have the cooldown skill level +1 line, so that is the only purpose they are serving for this build in here. And that allows me to use, again, the defense skill level +1 lines on my other units. So those are the items I'm currently running. Let's go take a look at the skill tree as well. And so here we are. This is the current skill tree that I have right now for this setup. I have a lot of skill points, as you can see, and I also have 20 that are not even being used right now. Mainly I have way too many skill points that you actually need for this kind of setup. Even in here there are things that you don't need for running this setup. For example, in the fire tree there are goblin nodes in here, for example, and I don't have goblin in here, so these should be removed as well. The fire damage boosting nodes doesn't really do anything. The attack speed nodes could be kept for mechanic ramp, but anything else is really not needed. Unlike a lot of people usually falsely believe, using the fire skill tree does not boost your town cannon's damage. Even though they are fire type, they do not get boosted by the fire damage nodes in here. So the fire tree for that purpose is useless. The only thing that's boosting them is the sword node, 2.5% more damage node in the middle of the fire tree, and there's one of these in every tree branch. So these are the only things that boost your town archers or town cannons damage in the skill trees itself. The most important thing for town cannons for your Infinite Colony build is the physical tree, first of all, because this boosts your Dark Elf's healing. Dark Elf is physical hero, so you get a more healing when you have the physical tree, and then the town archer section, so you can use orbs and items for your town archer. Those are the only real important things you have in your Infinite Colony build. Everything else is pretty much just extra. Like I have the poison tree in here for worm mainly. I have the summon tree in here for, well, getting a bit more damage from the witches. This does help, but it's also a bonus. It's not the most necessary thing to have. It's a bonus. The bonus damage for your Dark Elf, again, doesn't boost your town cannons, but gives you Dark Elf a little bit more damage. But otherwise, it's just the sword nodes in every tree that is mainly the most important things to get. The more damage to stun monsters also can help you get a little bit more healing throughout your Dark Elf. But as you can see, there's a lot of points that could be left out, and you can still run the build just fine. So you can try the same build even if you are at 100,000 waves, 500,000 waves, 1 million waves, 15 million waves, 20 million waves. The build can be exactly the same for this purpose. And so with this, as I'm closing in on 20 million waves, I currently have just about 10x ratio for my Infinite Colony build. I'm super satisfied. about that. And look at that juicy gold. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the juicy gold amount I'm getting from my infinite colony. And I'm trying to, of course, improve this slowly. Basically, since Devil Hole 5 was released, I've been trying to slowly increase my infinite colony. I didn't really care about infinite colony too much on my main account. Previously, I had like, what, 7 ratio perhaps. So I've been like slowly increasing it. And now I'm at 10, so I'm even more satisfied right now. But yeah, since Devil Hole 5 was released, I kind of had to start to worry about a little bit about my infinite colony as well. But here we are currently on 10x ratio. If you have any questions about the build itself, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will try to reply, try to give you a proper answer on why something is or isn't in there. But also I will link a couple of more colony build videos in the description. I would recommend checking those out as well. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one, and also in my Discord. The link to which is also in the description. Stay safe, my friends. Goodbye.